On what should have been our golden anniversary, my love, Lin Wan Jun, took her own life. It wasn't until after her death, when her editor published her work, that I finally learned the truth. Her lingering illness had never healed. Because she resented me. She believed I had trapped her for her entire life. So, when I was reborn and my father ordered me to choose an arranged marriage, to cast aside Lin Wan Jun, who had stood beside me for 5 long years, I didn't hesitate. Not even for a second. This time, I was willing to become the villain, to step away and let her be with her white moonlight. You've been with me for 5 years. This card has $500,000 in it. Before you go on those matchmaking dates, get your hymen restored. Honest guys really go for that. I hadn't even finished speaking when Lin Wan Jun snatched the card and hurled it at my face. Fu Shangyin, you bastard. Pain flared at my temple. I touched the spot. Blood. Lifting my eyes, I saw Lin Wan Jun's cool, elegant features twisted with long-suppressed fury. Today is my new book launch, and you dragged me here with just one call, only to say this? Her voice shook. Fu Shangyin, have people like you ever learned to respect anyone? She stormed out, her expression like frost, but not before flinging her coffee into my face. I didn't move. I let her vent. Then she strode away in her stilettos, rushing back toward her event. Several taxis slowed near her, but they all drove off. Lin Wan Jun didn't get into any of them. She stood there pacing, her lotus-green coat billowing in the early winter wind. Her silhouette looked so alone, so small, like she was waiting for someone to come coax her back. But I knew she wasn't waiting for me. Just as I expected, a battered old bicycle pulled up. And the moment she saw it, a radiant smile bloomed across her face. She hopped onto the back seat, arms sliding around the man's waist, even though I had already resolved to let her go in this lifetime. Seeing the woman I once shared a life with now, glowing with happiness for another man, still sent an indescribable pain tearing through my heart. Lin Wan Jun had always been a good woman. In truth, in our past life, she had never done anything wrong to me, to our child, or to our home. She'd always done her utmost, everything within her power, even that book, that tribute to her white moonlight, Lu Zai. It was only published after her death, by her request. She had never wronged me. She just never loved me. Sir, old Master Fu has already arranged for your body. In 3 days, you can proceed with the fake death and depart. Understood? Let's go home. Due to newly enacted policies, my Fu family no longer had any standing in Nangang. In 3 days, I would fake my death, assume a new identity, and leave for the mainland to forge a new path. 3 months later, I would marry my betrothed. In my previous life, I had taken Lin Wan Jun with me, but she hadn't been happy. Not once. This time, I would leave alone. She would be happy, wouldn't she? At least, years from now, when some reporter asked her about me, she could speak without shame, say that the man she had once been with wasn't some controlling sugar daddy, just a complete scumbag. Back home, I turned on the TV. Sure enough, chaos had broken out at the press conference. I let out a slow breath of relief when I saw Lin Wan Jun wasn't among the injured. Then I started packing my bags. I planned to leave this villa to her. I had also left a sum of money in the safe. Her younger brother's health wasn't good, and her writing career was just starting to blossom, without me to protect her in the future. Those agents, those publishers, they were predators, the kind who would devour you whole and not even spit out the bones. If she didn't have money to grease the right palms, her road ahead would be hell. Suddenly, Lin Wan Jun pushed the door open and came in. She slipped off the heavy padded coat that wasn't even hers. A sharp scent of her perfume hit me, mingled with a faint smell of tobacco, slightly acrid. I never smoked. But right then, I really wanted to. Going on another business trip? Her icy gaze fell on my suitcase. I mumbled a yes and kept packing. I didn't know what else to say. It was like she hadn't taken our breakup that morning seriously at all. Well, it made sense. We'd broken up before, had fights, but every time, I'd back down first. Beg her to come back. She probably thought this was just another of my tactics. She stood there, quiet, her pale fingers curling into tight fists. She hesitated, and then, gathering her courage, Fu Shangyin, was it you who sabotaged Lu Zai's job at the TV station? Otherwise, they just told him yesterday that he was hired. How could he suddenly be kicked out today? My hands froze mid-fold, clothes forgotten. I looked up, expressionless. You think it was me? She held my gaze, cold and unflinching. I've told you countless times, Fu Shangyin. He's like a brother to me, someone I grew up with. Why are you so petty? Why do you keep hounding him? You even hired people to beat him up. In my past life, we'd had this exact same argument. Liu Zai had lost his job because he hit the station director's nephew, but he'd blamed me publicly. By the time I found the nephew, he was already dead. There had been no way to clear my name. That's why, in this life, as soon as I was reborn, I found that nephew and saved him. I was about to take out the evidence from the drawer when Lin Wan Jun recoiled a step. The sharp pain that lanced through my chest at that moment was almost unbearable. She thought I was pulling out a gun. In Nangang, I had a fearsome reputation. It was said that anyone who crossed me would end up feeding fish in international waters, but I had always dotted on her, always respected her. Since we'd been together, she had never once been afraid of me. Yet now, because of one man's lies, she stood here glaring at me, filled with suspicion and disgust. Dejection washed over me. Exhaustion too. I thought to myself, if I've already decided to leave, then why bother explaining? A bitter smile tugged at my lips. I closed the drawer. So what if it was me? The look in her eyes, fear, loathing, was the same I saw in everyone else's. I lowered my head. I didn't want her to see the tears welling in my eyes. Make me a bowl of wonton noodles. Wanjun, no, she said instinctively. Then, maybe reconsidering, she took a deep breath and headed for the kitchen. She heated the wok, added oil. A sizzle echoed through the room. The smell of eggs drifted in the air. Once they were cooked through, she shredded them, setting them aside. She filled the wok again, this time for the noodles and wontons. An old hit song played softly from the TV. Priscilla Chan. I leaned against the doorway and hummed along. I remembered the second time I ever saw Lin Wan Jun. She had been singing this same song at a nightclub. She was 17. And she had already forgotten saving me when we were kids. Big curls fell around her face. Her cheap body-hugging dress clung to every curve, but her eyes were still bright, still pure. Colored lights swirled across her face, catching on the mirrored walls, casting a dreamlike haze around her. She was exactly how I'd always imagined her in my loneliest hours. I took her home that night, paid off her father's gambling debts, had her brother transferred to the best hospital. She had a beautiful voice. I told her I wanted to make her a star, but she said she wanted to study. She wanted to be a great writer someday. I admired that. So I paid her tuition, supported her all through university. The song ended. The noodles were done. All right, she said. I've changed the safe's password. If you need anything from inside, just take it. The password is Lin Wan. Jun slammed the bowl of wonton noodles on the table. The broth splashed out, burning her fingers red. My gaze darkened. She had made 2 servings. She poured the second into a thermal container. What's the password? I said, but my lips moved without a sound. The password was today my birthday. Is there anything else? I need to go to the hospital. To take care of Liu Zai, Lin Wan Jun hastily picked up the thermal container. Her expression was impatient. It looked like she would bolt out the door at any second. I grasped her hand gently, my voice low, unsure. Wan Jun, send me another song next time. She refused immediately, no hesitation at all. But then, as if suddenly remembering who I was, her voice softened, tinged with humiliation. Next time. Okay? Liu Zai is very badly injured. I let go of her hand, my strength gone. I answered with a hollow, all right. My face was blank as the door opened, then shut. Silence settled in, broken only by the ticking of the clock and the slow rhythm of my breathing. I slowly pulled out a chair. The noodles had clumped together a little. I forced down a few mouthfuls. It didn't taste the same anymore. Not like it did in my memory. The next morning, the door slammed open with a deafening bang. I jerked awake from my dream and, on instinct, grabbed my knife, pinning the intruder to the bed, blade at their neck. Seeing it was Lin Wan Jun, I pulled the knife away at once. Sorry, Wanjun. Things have been tense lately. I've been on edge. I didn't mean to scare you. She shook her head slightly and sat up, still visibly shaken. Her eyes landed on the cake now lying on the floor. She pressed her lips together. I froze. A faint smile tugged at the corner of my mouth, but it faded quickly. Too bad. My birthday had already passed. After a pause, I picked up the remaining half of the cake with the dining knife. It still looked mostly intact. Lin Wan Jun grabbed my wrist, frowning. Don't eat that. It's dirty. I'll go buy another one. I smiled at her, scooped a bit of cream, and dabbed it on her nose. When I hit rock bottom, I was so hungry. I even rummaged through trash bins, I said, trying to lighten the mood. I started telling her stories from my childhood, vivid and animated. It had been so long since I'd seen her smile like that genuinely, in front of me. In our last life. After she left Nangang, she was never the same. Always quiet, withdrawn, even around our child. She seemed hollow, like a soul that had drifted away. But this time, I think I made the right choice. This time, she will live a life of peace and joy. You never told me any of this. I always thought you were like a superhero, untouchable, Lin Wan Jun said, resting her chin on her palm. Her gaze was deep, full of emotion. I forced the sadness down and offered her a small smile. Wan Jun, we're only human. Of course we get hurt. She paused, as if something had just dawned on her, then fell silent. Only the quickening of her breath gave her away. Bang, firecrackers went off in the distance. She snapped out of it and awkwardly turned her head away. Strands of hair slid across her forehead. In that moment, she looked her age again, young, even a little bashful. I chuckled softly, then turned to look out the window too. After a while, she stood up, slipping into her usual cold, aloof demeanor. By the way, when's your business trip? 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll see you off then. All right. We finished the rest of the cake in silence. Then, after some hesitation, Lin Wan Jun finally spoke. Fushang Yin, could you spare Lu, please? I'm asking you. She didn't look at me, but her voice trembled ever so slightly, like she was afraid I'd say no. My heart sank. So this was why she'd come so early. Why she had made up for my birthday, just to plead for Lu. In the end, I nodded numbly. All right. After all, I had already decided to let her and Lu be together. When you help someone, you help them all the way. If Lu's future crumbled, I knew Lin Wan Jun would suffer with him. And she had once saved my life. After this, our debts would finally be settled. But the man Lu had offended was my longtime nemesis, Shen Huang. There was no way Shen would let Lu off easily. So I had to intervene personally. By the time I found Lu, night had already fallen. In an abandoned factory, Lu was hanging mid-air, beaten half to death. Yan, what? You get off on being a cuckold? Helping your own woman save her lover? My eyes narrowed dangerously. With a flick of my finger, my men lunged in. Agonized screams echoed for several long moments. I casually wiped a smear of blood from my fingertip. Then, I switched on the stereo. A beautiful song filled the warehouse, drowning out the fading cries. Someone like you doesn't deserve Wan Jun. Lu snarled, blood dripping as he tried to lift his head, glaring at the carnage around him. Even now, he still had the nerve to taunt me. I pinned his head under my foot, looking down at him, my face a mix of contempt and bafflement. Then what kind of man does deserve her, huh? The righteous star reporter, Lu? Stop it! Lin Wan Jun cried, bursting into the factory and shoving me hard. I stumbled back. When I turned, I saw Shen Hui Hong enter behind her. It finally clicked. This was a trap. He'd lost his wife due to his own philandering. And now, he couldn't bear to see someone else happy with theirs. Fushang Yin, I'm so incredibly disappointed in you, she cried out. Can't you go even one day without violence? Without bloodshed? I had never let her see this side of me before. Never let her witness the brutality, the ugliness. I had been terrified. She would fear me, or worse, revere me, out of fear. But now, the way she looked at me, the way she flinched, it was clear. Not only did she not love me, she saw me as her enemy. In her eyes, I saw a reflection of myself, cowardly, despicable, utterly loathsome. Lin Wan Jun cradled Lu like she was holding her own wounded soul. She gently wiped my shoe print from his face. Fushang Yin, she choked, tears streaming. Will you only be satisfied when you've destroyed everything? Her voice cracked. So now you've got what you wanted. I'm begging you, please, just let us go. She dropped to her knees. Then, to everyone's shock, she cowed out. Thud. Her forehead hit the ground hard. Blood trickled from her temple, slipping past her fierce, defiant eyes. I stared at her, stunned, completely hollowed out, and all I could murmur was, Lin Wan Jun, in your heart, what kind of monster am I to you? Winters in Nangang rarely brought snow, but that day, a damp, sleety sea breeze cut across my face, bone-chilling and merciless. I waited at the pier. She didn't come to see me off. Not that I was surprised. After all, today was Lu Zai's first day at his new job, of course. She'd see him off to the TV station instead. That scoundrel Shen Huihong really knew how to make life difficult. Even though Lu Zai was still badly injured, he still had to report to Shen Huihong first, but that was Lu's choice. Their future was no longer my concern. "Sir, it's time," my subordinate reminded me gently. I handed him my final letter. "Deliver it to Lin Wan Jun." Truth be told, Lin Wan Jun's writing journey had never been smooth at the start. To encourage her, I had anonymously become her very first fan. I read every single piece she published, offered advice, wrote letters of encouragement. This was the final one. I wished her a future bright as brocade. I didn't board the ship. That night, the ferry would sail into international waters and meet with disaster. All passengers would vanish, none spared. Would she cry for me? Even if not for me, perhaps for a life now lost? Never mind. It didn't matter anymore. Lin Wan Jun arrived at the pier, but the ship had already departed. A snowy mist swirled across the sea. The distant ship lights like fading stars grew dim, then vanished entirely. An inexplicable unease settled into her chest, the manuscript she had planned to finish that day. By midnight, barely a few words had been written. She had fallen asleep, slumped over her desk only to be jolted awake by the cold. The cedar-scented overcoat he'd usually drape over her shoulders just in time was missing. So was the coffee with its heart-shaped art and the waffles slathered in sickeningly sweet chocolate. The house was quiet, only the newspaper already lying at the foot of the door indicated that today was just another ordinary day. "It's not the first time he's been on a business trip," Lin Wan Jun murmured. Yet, for some reason, a heaviness still pressed on her heart, a premonition that something terrible was about to happen. It wasn't until she'd finished making breakfast that she hesitantly opened the newspaper. The moment she saw the front page headline, her hand clenched abruptly, the bold characters "Fairy sinks crumpling in her grip." Her heart felt as if an iron band had suddenly tightened around it, and a wave of oxygen-starved suffocation washed over her. Lin Wan Jun stared at the smaller print below, reading it over and over. No survivors, no survivors. Fang Yan, he was dead. That man, as powerful as a deity, who seemed capable of solving anything, had drowned in the tumultuous waves simply because of a small squall. He hadn't died at an enemy's gunpoint, nor been assassinated while incarcerated. He had simply unremarkably died in an accident. How could this be? How is this possible? Lin Wan Jun couldn't believe it. She even found herself wondering if this was some scheme the man had deliberately concocted to win her back. The sharp ring of the telephone snapped Lin Wan Jun back to her senses. Though the phone was mere steps away, her legs felt so weak she nearly stumbled several times as she made her way to it. Lu's exultant voice came from the other end. "Wan Jun, Fu Yin is dead. You no longer have to force yourself to stay with him out of fear of his power. You're free." Free? But why, then, did her eyes blur? By the time Lin Wan Jun rushed to the Fu family home, they had already begun the funeral service. Since Fu Shangyan's body couldn't be found, the coffin only contained a suit he once wore. "Aren't you going to search anymore?" Perhaps he was lucky enough to get on a lifeboat and is still waiting for you to rescue him. At her words, Fu Xy's half-brother, Fui, gave a knowing smile. "Miss Lin, do you really think anyone in his family cares if he's alive or dead?" Lin Wan Jun froze. She remembered the stories Fu Shangyan had told her about his family. At the time, she'd thought he was exaggerating. So she'd listened and then forgotten, paying them no real mind. She never imagined the Fu family could truly be so heartless, willing to abandon their own kin for personal gain. She gripped Fu Yi's wrist tightly, her pale face seeming to blaze with an inner fire. "Fu, have you forgotten who saved you 3 years ago when thugs nearly broke your legs? How can you be so ungrateful?" The air seemed to freeze. Fu Yi looked at her mockingly and let out a low, derisive laugh. "So you didn't know what kind of man he was, Miss Lin?" Lin Wan Jun's heart lurched as if she'd been slapped hard across the face. Flashes of their past together raced through her mind. The night he'd bought her freedom, she had knelt naked on the bed. But Fang Yan had gently closed his eyes and draped clothes over her. When her younger brother was taken by debt collectors and she had gone alone to save him, Fu Shangyan had rushed back from overseas at the most critical moment to rescue them. And what had she done? She had screamed at him, her voice raw with anguish. "I don't want to be your gilded canary, Fang Yan. Can't you stop watching me? Controlling me?" The man, usually as steadfast as a mountain, had seemed utterly at a loss. He had knelt Before her, his eyes rimmed with red. Wonju, I never wanted to watch you. It's only because you're the woman I love. I just want to protect you. A loud clash of gongs and drums from the Taoist priests conducting the funeral rites jolted Lin Wan Jun back to the present. Fu. He was gone, but in a corner, she spotted a familiar figure. It was Lu. What was he doing here? Had he come to thank Fu Shangyin for saving him once? Lin Wan Jun approached, about to speak when the appearance of another person and Lu's words to him made her stop dead. President Shan. Lu was saying, I've done everything you asked. When can you make me deputy director of the news center? He continued, don't worry. Wan Jun will never forgive Fu Shangyin in this lifetime. Whether it was me deliberately losing my job and framing Fu Shangyin or that staged fight at the factory, she believes it all. Implicitly, Shan Huihong ignored Lu, instead casting an amused gaze toward Lin Wan Jun, who was eavesdropping nearby. Lu, as if sensing her presence, turned his head and met Lin Wan Jun's eyes, blazing with disbelief and fury. Wan Jun, listen to me. It's not what you think, Lu began, but Lin Wan Jun slapped him hard across the face, tears of bitter disappointment welling in her eyes. Lu, she choked out. I never knew you were this kind of person. Shan Huihong watched them leave, thoroughly enjoying the drama. His mood was excellent. It's often only when someone's gone that you realize their true feelings. Lin Wan Jun must be truly devastated now, he mused. Fu Shangyin, you can just watch from your grave as the woman you loved is condemned to a lifetime of regret. Shan Huihong spat at Fu Shangyin's funeral portrait. He caressed the yellowed photograph of a woman inside his pocket, watch a twisted smile on his face, yet tinged with a profound loneliness. And you too, Shan Huihong, he muttered. You also deserve to end up with a lifetime of regret. At the funeral, a torrential downpour began. The mourners hastily buried the coffin and dispersed, not even bothering to flatten the earth on top. Lin Wan Jun knelt, smoothing the grave with her bare hands, mud staining her fingers, ankles, and dress. He's dead. What's the point of all this fuss? Fui said. He held an umbrella, but with a striking lack of chivalry, offered none of its shelter to Lin Wan Jun. Lin Wan Jun knelt before him, the pride that defined her seeming to crumble under the relentless rain. She desperately clutched his trouser leg, whimpering, Fui, I'm begging you. Please, just let the search and rescue team try again. Fui, expressionless, pried her fingers off one by one. My apologies, Miss Lin. Please go home. She staggered to her feet, fists clenched, her teeth biting into her lip until blood welled. If you won't go, I'll find someone myself. Lin Wan Jun called countless private search and rescue teams, but as soon as they heard she was looking for Fu Shangyin, they refused. Miss Lin, even if you change your reason or have someone else call for you, we know you're looking for Fu Shangyin. Let me be frank, no search and rescue team in all of Nangang will look for him. Upon hearing this, Lin Wan Jun was surprisingly calm. She immediately went to the bank, withdrew all her manuscript effies and the money from her home safe, then bought a boat and hired a few sailors. She would go out to sea herself. A hand suddenly grabbed her from behind. Lin Wan Jun struggled but couldn't break free. She turned impatiently only to see her younger brother, Lin Guodong. Startled, she grabbed his icy hand. What are you doing out here? She asked anxiously. Did they run out of money? Did the hospital kick you out? Lin Guodong draped his raincoat over her. No sis, don't get worked up. Fu Shangyin paid my medical expenses for the next 50 years. No one's going to kick me out. He paused. I heard he passed away, and I was worried about you, so I snuck out to find you. Lin Wan Jun sighed in relief, though a deeper pain of guilt toward Fu Shangyin stirred within her. Guodong, go back to the hospital. I'll be back soon after I find Fu Shangyin. And what if you don't find him? Lin Guodong cut in, his grip on her hand desperate as he tried to pull her back to shore. I will find him. Guodong, be a good brother. Go back first. I can't delay any longer. Suddenly, a monstrous wave crashed against the boat, sending it into a violent lurch. Lin Wan Jun was thrown to the deck, scrambling unsteadily to get back up. Lin Guodong, heartbroken at the sight, grabbed her shoulders and roared in anguish. Sis, stop this. He's dead. Fu Shangyin is dead. No, he can't be dead. He's too strong. He wouldn't die. He wouldn't. A wave struck, and they both tumbled to the deck again. This time, Lin Wan Jun couldn't hold on any longer. She collapsed. limply into Lin Guang's arms, her consciousness fading. She felt her soul drifting like it was floating in the air, countless images flashing through her mind. These fragments, jumbled with her memories, felt like recollections from a past life, or maybe just a fleeting dream. She saw Fu Shangyin alive. She had spent her entire life with him. They had children. Fu Shangyin treated her wonderfully. And yet she was never happy. Why was she unhappy even when she was with the person she loved most? She didn't understand. Maybe she never would. Not in this lifetime. 3 years later, Lin Wan Jun's novel South Harbor's Last Sigh became a massive hit. She came to the mainland for book signings and interviews. During one interview, the reporter's questions were particularly pointed, even tinged with malice. "Miss Lin, I heard this novel is based on your personal experiences. So, like the protagonist, were you also once kept by the male lead?" But Lin Wan Jun simply smiled serenely. Though only in her early 20s, her eyes held the composure and weariness of someone in their 30s or 40s. "It's true," she said, "but I don't regret it. Perhaps to many, Fu Shangyin wasn't a good man. Maybe he wronged many people. But to me, he was the only light in my miserable life. He was the one who pulled me out of the mire of my fate, loved me, respected me, supported me. I deeply regret misunderstanding him and letting him down when he was alive." As she finished, Lin Wan Jun's voice choked with emotion. "When Shan Huihong sent me the clip of this interview, I had just lulled my daughter to sleep. He'd only found out a year ago that I was still alive. His first reaction upon learning I was alive, to record a video message specifically for me tearing into me as a scumbag. You effing bastard. Eached, you goddamn scumbag. I actually thought you were some devoted lover, but it turns out you fake your own death just to put on a show for your woman. Huh? Do you have any idea how much Lin Wan Jun has suffered all these years? You abandoned her for a marriage alliance. Are you even a man?" I secretly rolled my eyes. A heartless, philandering, rich playboy who drove a pregnant young girl to her death. And he had the gall to lecture me? The sheer hypocrisy. I didn't bother replying to him, but deep down, a faint sense of unease lingered in my heart. I had this nagging feeling that something unexpected was about to happen. As I suspected, my gut feeling was right. At the cocktail party the next day, I ran into Lin Wan Jun in the crowd, and right behind her, Shan Huihong gave me a malicious little wave. Damn it. That moment, I really wanted to curse out loud, but I couldn't. All I could do was nod politely at Lin Wan Jun, pretending not to know her. "Shangyin. Fu Shangyin, is it really you?" Lin Wan Jun reached out, desperate to grab my hand, but I dodged just in time. She was still the same familiar Lin Wan Jun, but somehow different. Her head tilted slightly up, eyes shimmering with fragile tears. But today, I no longer could nor had the right to wipe her tears away. I stared at her blankly, deliberately showing a trace of impatience. "Sorry, miss. You've got the wrong person." She stubbornly blocked my path, refusing to let me pass. I signaled the bodyguard to pull her aside. Without looking back, I turned and walked away. "Fang Yin." Her shout was cut off, muffled by the bodyguard's hand. I didn't look back. In fact, I walked even faster. I figured Shan Huihong must have tipped her off again. A few days later, Lin Wan Jun cornered me in a private bar. Slightly exasperated, I had no choice but to ask my friends to step away for a moment. Lin Wan Jun seized the opportunity and sat down beside me. I caught a whiff of her faint perfume. It was a bit too sharp. I leaned back slightly and deliberately picked up my glass with a hand wearing my wedding ring. "Miss Lin, I'm married now." Lin Wan Jun's smile froze, her expression growing even more desolate. "I suppose so. If you really are him, then, the man I've longed for all these years, and all those books I wrote, doesn't it all just make me look ridiculous? What I thought was deep love was actually just someone faking their death to get rid of a burden." I opened my mouth but didn't know what to say. After all, from Lin Wan Jun's perspective, everything was exactly as it seemed, but the ending I'd envisioned was her living happily ever after with Lu Zi, with me just being an insignificant, dead scumbag in her life. When did it all start to spiral out of control? I don't know. I only know she shouldn't be living in the past. I've moved on, and I hope she can live a good life from now on too, but in the brief moment I was lost in thought, Lin Wan Jun had already emptied her glass. Her stomach was already weak. If she drank any more, she'd probably end up in a hospital. I wanted to tell her to stop, but the words died on my lips, feeling inappropriate. After a moment's thought, I signaled the bodyguard to take her glass away, take her home. Lin Wan Jun struggled furiously, her usually cool eyes now clouded with drunken anguish. She screamed at me, a heart-wrenching cry that drew everyone's attention. Fang Yin, you coward! Either admit outright that you abandoned me or just leave me alone. I quickly covered her mouth and sent someone to deal with tomorrow's headlines. If this went on, my new identity, less than 2 years old, was about to be blown wide open to the public. In the end, I reluctantly escorted a drunk and disorderly Lin Wan Jun home with my bodyguard. In the car, I texted my wife to let her know what was going on. She sent back a cute emoji telling me to just handle it. A small smile touched my lips, and I didn't notice Lin Wan Jun had somehow leaned in so close. Was it for her that you abandoned me? Do you love her? Or was it just because your families were a good match? I pressed my elbow against her arm, gently pushing her away. You're drunk, Miss Lin. She closed her eyes, a bitter smile on her lips. Her fists clenched as if desperately trying to rein in her emotions. About 20 minutes later, I gently nudged her arm. We're here, Miss Lin. She opened her drowsy eyes, her tipsy gaze holding a captivating allure that almost completely overturned my previous impression of her. She invited me upstairs to sit for a while. I didn't want to be alone with her in her apartment, so I refused outright. She tilted her chin up at me, her cool eyes now tinged with contempt and scorn. I have something to say to you. You can bring your bodyguard along, coward. With a helpless sigh, I gestured for the bodyguard to accompany me upstairs. When she opened the door, the apartment's decor was almost identical to the place we'd shared in Nangang 3 years ago. Feeling a little uneasy, I glanced around briefly before sitting on the sofa farthest from her. The bodyguard stood behind me. She scoffed, then took off her jacket, revealing a short, sexy skirt underneath. I immediately looked away. You're not him? Her feigned gentleness held a sharp edge, as if she were waiting to pounce on any mistake I made. I could only manage a polite smile. I'm a married man, after all. It wouldn't be good if my wife found out. At the word wife, the light in her eyes suddenly dimmed. She murmured the word, her expression dazed. Wife. So, wife. Her voice was laced with an indescribable bitterness that made my own heart ache. She shouldn't have become like this. But things had come to this, and I was powerless to change anything. Do you know how I confirmed who you are? Those letters. The ones you wrote to me, even though you deliberately changed your handwriting. A person's little quirks are hard to hide. Lin Wan Jun carefully placed a thick stack of letters on the table. They looked almost new, a testament to how much she'd cherished them over the years. Then she took out her phone and thrust a photo in my face. It was a photo of the contract I just signed with the Shanun Corporation. Shan Huihong had sent her a picture of his signature page. At this point, are you still going to deny it, Fang Yin? Just tell me the truth. All I want is a straight answer. 3 years ago, did you leave me for a marriage alliance? Just tell me, and I'll finally be able to let go, she said, her slightly reddened eyes brimming with anticipation, no desperation. A silent plea clung to her every breath. I walked toward her, step by step, until I was right beside her. Without a word, I reached into her bag and slipped out the active recording pen she had hidden. Stay away from Shan Huang, I told her softly. He's no good. I didn't answer her unspoken question directly, but what I had done spoke louder than words. A confession, silent, undeniable. The color drained from her face. Terror flashed in her eyes, quickly swallowed by utter despair. Tears welled up, then streamed freely down her cheeks. Her pale lips trembled. She tried to say something, but no sound came out, and then she shattered. With a choked, broken sound, she swept away all the letters she had once treasured so carefully. Right before my eyes, she descended into a frenzy, stomping on them, tearing them apart, destroying the fragments of our past with her bare hands. In her heart now, I was nothing but a heartless, faithless scumbag. I couldn't tell if the pain in my chest was heavier than the relief creeping in. I left in silence. Just as I was about to get into the car, she came running after me barefoot. Fang Yen, can't we even be friends after this? She cried. I turned to look at her, my expression unreadable. If you run into any trouble in the future, contact my assistant. He'll help you. I motioned to my bodyguard, who handed her my assistant's business card. She let out a hollow, dry laugh and, without a second thought, tossed the card into the nearest trash can. Fu Yin, you're a real bastard, she spat, her voice shaking with hatred. I didn't look back. If that's how you see me, I said flatly, then so be it. 6 years later, I received Lin Wan Jun's wedding invitation. She wasn't marrying Lu Zhe but an overseas Chinese expatriate. When my love and I attended the wedding, I was surprised to find Shan Hui Hong on stage, invited as a family member. It turned out that Shan Hui Hong had acknowledged Lin Wan Jun as his sworn sister for years prior, which was quite unexpected. But it was all right. Though Shan Hui Hong had always been a bit of a playboy, he treated his family well. Mr. Chin and I met at a book signing, she said. He's a fan of my books. I once thought I could never let go of past regrets. But it wasn't until I met him that I understood when we meet the right person, letting go can be so easy. As she spoke those words, she never looked at me, not even once. I saw the brilliant lights illuminating her, making her glow. Just like the very first time I laid eyes on her, her small frame backlit as she confidently and cleverly led away the thugs chasing me. I turned my eyes away, I squeezed my wife's hand, and we quietly left. Let's go, my great pianist. What surprise have you prepared for our 10th wedding anniversary? I asked. She smiled, mischievous, and covered my eyes. My dear CEO, I'm not telling you yet. After a pause, she feigned anger and tapped my chest lightly twice. You're not allowed to peek this time. You peek every year. I shrugged, calm, as if I'm definitely going to peek. Lin Wan Jun's side story. After Fu Shangyin died in a shipwreck, I had a dream. A long, fragmented dream. I dreamed he hadn't died but had changed his identity and gone inland. He took me with him, and we started over with new names, a new life. But even then, I couldn't shake the unease. Our statuses were still so unequal. Inland, I had no family, no friends. Besides him, I had no one to rely on. All I could do was write, desperately pouring every ounce of my emotions into novel after novel. I had to earn a lot of money, achieve a reputation more perfect than Fu Shangyin's. Only then could I feel the slightest confidence when speaking to him. Wan Jun, it's already past 1 in the morning, he would say softly. Let's sleep. You can write more tomorrow, okay? He'd carefully place a glass of warm milk by my side and gently try to stop my furiously typing fingers, but I was in the zone, lost in my writing. I brushed him off, annoyed. The milk spilled. The glass shattered, fragments skittering across the floor. Fu Shangyin, you're always telling me to rest. Are you trying to trap me at home for the rest of my life? He looked at me, expression unreadable, complicated. After a long silence, he sighed and quietly knelt to clean up the mess. Suddenly, he paused, his eyes narrowing. His warm fingers gently grasped my ankle. Wan Jun, your calf is cut. Stay still. I'll get the first aid kit. He rushed out like the wind. When he returned, I had locked the door. I was tired of his mind-corroding concern. I was convinced he was trapping me, a gilded cage, lulling me into dependency. And once I was hooked, he'd chain me to this place, drowning me in daily trivialities. Wan Jun, I just want you to sleep early, he said from outside. Tomorrow, you need to attend our daughter's school parent-child activity. See? See? I knew it. Why don't you go? Why should I be the one? Double quote silence. It lasted so long, I thought he'd walked away. Then his voice, low, worn. Wan Jun, I've been going for the past 3 years. Our daughter really needs you. She needs her mother. And he paused. I need you too. I covered my ears. I didn't want to hear it. I had to write, had to earn, had to save enough to take our daughter and leave this den of wolves. But no matter how much I wrote, how much I earned, I never surpassed Fu Shangyin. I was still just a speck of dust under his powerful influence. Slowly, I became hollow, melancholic. I lost all motivation. In those countless painful days and nights, my thoughts drifted to Lu Zi. I hadn't heard news of him in so long. Yet the difficult years we spent together in youth clung to me, soft, warm memories. I started to fantasize. What if I had refused to go inland with Fu Shangyin? What if I had threatened to die if he forced me? Maybe things would have been warm. Maybe Lu and I would have had our own careers, our own home, roses blooming in the garden, children's laughter filling the air. These thoughts lulled me. My eyelids grew heavier. In my dream, I smelled a faint fragrance. That bastard Fu Shangyin must have come in. Wan Jun, the roses outside the window are blooming again. Did you see them? His voice, it was fading, like the last breath of a rose petal carried on the breeze. I woke up. My vision was blurred. Sniffling, I realized my face was already streaked with tears. The room was quiet. The roses on the windowsill had withered. Only then did I realize in so many everyday moments I had ignored, Fu Shangyin had already turned this tiny space into a home, what he considered our home. He did it with meticulous care. In a daze, I saw him again leaning back on the sofa, sunlight lighting up his tousled hair, making him glow with warmth. Wan Jun, wealth isn't the sole measure of a person's worth or dignity. You can chase your dreams, but don't lose yourself in the process.